Good morning, folks. This is Brother Allen with Bible Commentary. Today, I am going to show you in the scripture, in the book of Daniel, that in part 1, in Isaiah, chapter 12, verses 12 through 23, again, is pertaining to the king of Babylon. So let me go back and read again Isaiah, who was writing this during the captivity of Judah and Benjamin in Babylon. And here's what Isaiah 14, 12 through 16 says. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning star? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to the grave, to the sides of the grave. They that see thee shall narrowly look up on thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man? Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? So here we have a prediction from the prophet Isaiah about the destruction of the kings of Babylon and also of the destruction of Babylon itself. This is not about a Satan, a fallen angel. This is about the kings of the Babylon, and it explicitly states that in the book of Isaiah in chapter 14. So what we're going to have next in chapter 5 of Daniel is the fulfillment of this prophecy. And I'm simply going to read to you, straight from the Bible, the fulfillment of this prophecy, beginning in Daniel chapter 5. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink thereof. When King Nebuchadnezzar overran Jerusalem and destroyed that first temple, he took the golden vessels out of that temple and brought them back to Babylon. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall the king's palace, and the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed. He was shaking in his knees, and his knees smote one against another. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, Whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof, shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be made the third ruler of the kingdom. Then came in all of the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was the king Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. And now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and of his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom like him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving all doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show you the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in before the king. And the king spake and said unto Daniel, Art thou Daniel, which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I have heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in you. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing, and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee, that you canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if you can read the writing and make known to me the interpretation, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shall be the third ruler of the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O thou king the most high, God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, and majesty, and glory, and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages, listen, trembled and feared before him. Whom he would he slew, and whom he would he kept alive, and whom he would he set up, and whom he would he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hath not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven. And they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou, and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know. and the God in whose hand they breathe is, and whose are all thy ways hast thou not glorified? Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written on the wall. And this is the writing that was written, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it, Belteshazzar. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Perez or Phares, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. Verse 30 and 31. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. And Darius, the Median, took the kingdom, and being about 62 years old. Folks, this is the fulfillment of the prophecy in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 26. Isaiah was foretelling that Lucifer, the king of Babylon, would die, would be overrun, would lose his kingdom. At that time, Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar made the nations of the earth tremble. They were such a mighty, forceful power. But as Isaiah predicted, in the middle of the night, while Belshazzar and all of his princes were drinking wine and getting drunk, the Persians dug a trench underneath the gates of Babylon. They rerouted the river, and then they came in and they slew the king Belshazzar. This is the fulfillment in history of the first kingdom in the image of Nebuchadnezzar being overthrown by the second kingdom of silver, which is the Medo-Persian Empire. I hope this gives you a clear understanding of that prophecy and of that word in Isaiah, that Lucifer is and was a man, a human being, a biological person, not Satan, not the devil, but the king of Babylon. Until next time, this is your faithful brother Alan. May God bless us all. Goodbye.